How's it going, everybody? Neil Dutta here, and I'm the president of Apollo Realty Investments. We are San Diego's #1 distressed home buyer. Jim and I wanted to mix things up today, so I'm going to be doing the interview today with Alan Shafran with the Alan Shafran Group. You're really going to enjoy this episode. Alan has been doing 100 transactions a year plus for the last 15 years. So if you are looking to grow your business, take your game to the next level, and learn from one of the rock stars in San Diego, you don't want to miss this episode. Alan, thanks so much for coming on the show. This is going to be a cool episode because we're actually personal friends outside of business and real estate.
Right,
so wanted to thank you for being on. And for people who don't know who you are, maybe give a quick intro on yourself, your background, how long you've been in real estate, and just a little bit about yourself.
Okay, happy to. Alan Shafran, doing this. I typically stop it at about 25 years because I want to count beyond that, but it's about that, give or take. And my background obviously is mostly residential real estate. Some technology with software. I also used to manage money for Payne Weber a long time ago. That company was then bought out by UBS, and that's the company probably most people know today. So that's sort of the economic background as well.
Very cool. And a lot of people probably don't know also, or maybe they do, you're in the top 1% of agents in San Diego. You do over 100 transactions a year.
Yep.
You've got your brokerage, the Alan Shafran Group, and you've got a team underneath you of agents as well. So you've made that transition from being an agent to being a broker and a leader. Maybe talk a little bit about that, on kind of how in the last 25 years your business has evolved to kind of where it is today.
Okay, happy to. So about, I think, 17 plus years ago, give or take, I just really wanted to figure out a better way to do real estate. And I think there were a few of us, I certainly wasn't the first one, but probably amongst a group of pioneers 17, 20 years ago, give or take, like I said, that really started to believe in the team concept. And so we started to push that. And probably about 15 years ago, shortly after, I said, and had a firm belief in the fact that this is the way real estate is going to look in the next 20, 30 years. About 10 years ago, they started talking about in the real estate world how the older generation of realtors were going to start having a difficult time because of technology. I really couldn't see that back then. And at that time, the internet was really starting to come into play. And so for the first time now, I'm sort of jumping around, I apologize, we're seeing everyone struggle with the amount of technology and new applications and new demands from consumers that people are using. So we're seeing that prognostication from 10 years ago actually start to take place today. That if some of the agents really aren't technologically savvy, they're really being challenged, which is where teams help them out. But that's how the team concept started. I was an individual realtor before that. I started with Mike Ferry. Years and years ago, I ended up becoming good friends with Tom, his son. We were close to the same age, so there's a lot of funny stories back then. And things that I loved about real estate, things that I didn't love about real estate, being really young with money, learning different things along the way, and then eventually, ending up in San Diego and building the team. We've been selling about, 100 to, 180, 90 homes a year for about the last, I think it feels, I'm just going to say approximately 15 years. So it's been quite a long time that we've been at that place.
Wow, okay.
And we think and hope that the future looks, really bright. So we're happy about that.
Those numbers are really impressive, and we'll get back to that. But one thing I wanted to touch back on is the technology piece you were mentioning. So you have a background in technology. You had a technology company, I think Showing Suite, which a lot of agents use. You were one of the founders of that company.
Right.
And being that you have that background, do you find that that's a great benefit for you as a leader and a broker to empower your team and your agents to kind of bring them in 2016 with all the tech that's out there right now? Yeah,
that's a great question, and one I love talking about. Because I really don't have the official technology background where I'm the guy that's actually programming per se. But one of the unique things that I found that just happened for me in my life was that I was in the age group of right when that desktop computer was coming around. So I'm really in a funny place in life where I saw the first microwave come out in this world, and the first huge answering machine and fax machine, and then it kept going. And so when the first, Microsoft clones, IBM clones came out, I didn't really know what to do with it, but I love computers. So I was just a really strong end user. And then we were doing these DOS databases, and I loved the concept of this thing doing work for us and eliminating the human brain from making mistakes. And I'm sort of a structured, systematic guy. So I was really trying to find my passion within real estate, and that was my passion. There's a lot of stuff that we all know is difficult in real estate. So I always tell people, find the stuff that makes you happy, and sometimes it offsets the difficult pieces of it. And that's what made me happy. So I was a geek.
Yeah.
You know, I was just like 2 a.m. Oh my gosh, I can add a field, and now if I click this field, it does that and does that and does that. And it was good timing. It just continued to move and move and move. And then I was there when the first Windows came out, and then I was networking, and I had a team of telemarketers, and then the internet came out. And so when the internet came out, I think just being, again, on the end user side, I saw a hole that could be filled. Mm-hmm. And so I developed a company that filled it. And now it's taken 12 years. It is now every single leader in technology in the industry is saying that hole must be filled. So it went from a niche to it is one of the biggest arenas today as far as showing systems, techniques, infrastructures. You're seeing it across the country now.
And Showing Suite, for those of you that don't know, it's basically the technology where when agents show a property and they put in their central lot card, it sends them automatic feedback, which then is a loop that goes back to you and the client, so you guys can get immediate feedback on the property.
Right. So it started as homefeedback.com years ago. That's what a lot of people know, and that's really what it niched in, was providing the feedback service. But now the company has transitioned and elevated to a place where we are now doing MLSs and providing the whole showing infrastructure. So we actually just started and we took on all of Sandacor. So, and we're doing multiple MLSs now across the country where the whole agents, everyone's getting on a unified system. Mm-hmm. There's only about 2 or 3 big players out there that are doing this right now. And so we have, our system within Showing Suite is called Showing Bot.
Okay.
It's not without challenges and hurdles and every agent getting on the same format to create a smooth, easier system that helps create appointments, confirm appointments, change appointments without having to be back and forth, call. But it's happening across the country right now.
That's awesome. So let me ask you this, given with the tech background that you have, what are some of the key pieces that you guys are using in your office that you're finding is really improving your business today, whether it's a specific CRM, whether it's an email client? Kind of let us know what are some of the things you guys are using that's really having a benefit for your business.
Okay. And we're challenged like everybody is out there.
Yeah.
It's what do we implement? Everything that we implement right now is taking time. I used to be what's called an early adopter, which, there was anything new that came out, I was like, oh, let's make this work. But today there's so much, and then you don't know if it's going to be there or not. So we're very careful what we pick and choose. When we just moved our whole platform on a very customized version of Zoho CRM.
Okay.
And we spent probably 8-9 months with an outside programmer customizing it. And so we've created a very, very streamlined infrastructure right now, which is amazing. So my sales team to the admin team to me, we're seeing everything that's happening wherever we go. It's the same. If I create a custom field, so the beautiful part about what we're doing right now is if we have a new need.
Yeah.
We just had one the other day where some field was needed because this field was going to allow our marketing to do this, that, whatever that is, right? I was able to go in, have a new field created, press one button, all of that gets translated to our mobile. So we have an actual iOS app. It's not just web on the phone, it's an actual app.
Okay.
It goes on, all the data gets translated, everything we do on the app goes up into the CRM. If we're making phone calls, the phone call...
So it's a pretty robust platform.
Oh yeah, you're just pressing one button, that phone call is automatically logged into the CRM. You don't have to do anything else. Any one of us can see you tried to call that person.
Got it.
So
and
it's
I know,
insane, yeah.
I know some of these custom CRMs where you have to get outside consultants to program them specifically for your business can be pretty expensive. Have you guys seen a return on that?
Yes. I wouldn't say it's a calculable, if that's a word, return. But we are seeing now the time savings is fantastic. And yes, those custom programs can be a nightmare. So we chose a platform that is very, very strong, and it's certainly not my platform. The platform is used by millions of people. So I would say it's not quite on the same level as a Salesforce.
Yeah.
But it's pretty close. So you take a Salesforce and you can customize it. Very, very expensive process. I don't think most agents and even most teams have the budget. They're still sitting with a Realtor.com and or a what do you call it, top producer.
Yep.
Which serves its purpose. It can be great. It's just you're really going to conform to that structure. And today, I think we have to move and shift so fast that it's a little too conforming for my taste.
Got it.
Yeah.
Here's a great question for you. So I know in our office, I'm always tinkering with new apps, new pieces of technology, things that I think are going to help us down the road. As an agent in today's market, that's not being, what you would say an early adopter of technology. How much time should agents be spending looking at these different things that are coming out? Is it kind of like listen up or be left behind? I mean, how much are you encouraging your agents to be testing and experimenting with different things that are coming out from the technology standpoint, because there's new things that are coming out every day?
That's such a great question, man. And it is probably one of our biggest challenges. And I tell them, stay away from it, let me do it.
Yeah.
And
so as the leader, I'm the experiment, one you vet it out, and then you unleash your agents on it.
And I have been punished by them. They've slapped me around a few times when I unleash one too quickly, and then I release it, and then I realize, you know what, I did that too soon. This stinks. Let's cancel that.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely throwing them and myself off track when that happens. So I encourage anybody out there, don't be quick to switch. Make sure it's a solid decision. If you make the decision, really see what is the return? How is it really going to affect my business? Or is this just neat and fun?
Yeah.
If it's just neat and fun, it's going to stop because you're going to get busy and you're going to drop it.
Yeah.
And as every technologies company's biggest problem is, the idea to then adaption and implementation for all of us. So don't do it unless you can really commit every single day to that process. And I would say go through the basics. There's all these apps that we have to use. We have our showing suite. You have to have a showing app. Choose somebody today.
Okay.
You got to have that. It doesn't matter.
That's a good plug. You've got to use Showing Suite out there.
Showing Suite's got it, because if you're part of Santa Court, hey, you're going to get on Showing Suite. If you're going to be part of CRMLS, I think they just got Showing Time.
Okay.
Another major player that's great. But you got to go with the one that's probably got your MLS board.
Okay.
And if there isn't one with an MLS board, you have a few choices out there.
Yeah.
We have our Instagrams. You probably want to be on that for social, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. Other than that, we're trying to keep things simple. So for our documents, word processing, we use Google. We love it. They have a Google Drive app.
Drive and Google Docs.
It's free. You can keep the apps, the documents. You can hit on download it. Why complicate it?
We run our whole company on Google Apps. I mean, we love it.
Exactly. We love it.
Yeah.
So it does everything. Anything that you do out there should absolutely be single sign-on with Google.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's going to coordinate. It's going to communicate. Make your transaction coordination systems. They should all be working with Gmail. We think that's obviously, we'll just stick with them.
Yeah. Well, cool. I want to talk a little bit about your past. I mean, I got into real estate back in 2010, and ever since I've been in the industry, Alan Shafran has been a big name. I've seen you out there just crushing it in the market. And I want to go back to kind of when you first got in the industry, what the market was like, how you got started, and kind of getting to that point where you became a 1% agent.
Okay. So started just like everybody, the same anxieties that everyone feels.
Yeah.
And I deal with that with new agents that come on our team, and I help mentally work them through that process. My hours were nuts. My old days used to look like up at 5 in the morning, gym at, I was reading my affirmations, looking at my business plan, at the gym by 6, out of the gym by 7:15 if I could, in the office, practicing my scripts. Now remember, guys, there were no computers back then.
Yeah.
So it's a different world today, right? When I started, you really could cold call every day.
Yeah.
You really could door knock every day. Expireds were a much bigger market, and the data, I mean, we were doing reverse directories back then. It's just such a different world. The concept remains the same, but what I did every day was different. And the preparation was that I had to find what I was willing to be the best at. For me back then, it was expireds and cold calling.
So you created a niche immediately.
Immediately, and I became, in my mind, the best at it. So I was doing back then 40, 60 deals a year just off the expires.
When you first got in the business?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So my first year was probably 30 to 35 transactions.
So let's pause right there. Would you say that's a pretty critical point right from the get-go? If you're a new agent or you've been in the business for a few years, finding that niche, that one area that you're going to be the best at and really focus on, would you say that's a key point right there, to find that and expand from there?
I think it's changed.
Yeah.
I think it's changed
Okay.
because some of those things have gone away. We're in a world today where those old days, literally, if someone door knocked 8 hours a day, they were going to be successful.
Yeah.
If someone cold called 8 hours a day, they were going to be successful. I mean,
Yeah.
it takes a lot, right?
Yeah, but you have to have your sales skills down.
Yeah, you're cold calling, then you have to have your follow-up systems.
Yep.
Then you have to be great at making appointments.
Yep.
Then you have to go to the appointment, compete against the very best agents and win that appointment. Then you have to get the listing at the right price. Then you have to communicate with the sellers, handle the offers, deal with the other agents, and then close the deal after that.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of skill sets required, right?
Yeah.
Those skill sets haven't changed, but how we get there today is difficult. And that's why the whole world of teams and starting as individual agents has changed. But back to how I started, that was basically it. I was super disciplined. I didn't go out and party. I was falling asleep at 9 o'clock at night because I was up so early the next day, but I was enthralled and passionate about it. I loved making money. Sometimes spent too much money. My first year, I realized like after making that money, oh, there's taxes. Oh, whoops.
Yep.
So, you learn, but I was 18 starting in that time, so I didn't know much better back then.
Let's talk about some of the challenges you kind of went through on your journey. I mean, what are some of the speed bumps that you've hit that kind of set you back or kind of took you to a dark place where you weren't sure what was going to happen?
There was actually a moment when I was starting up Showing Suite. This is 15 years ago,
Yeah.
and that's where real estate, and I tell everyone, can be very punishing, right? We never really have in real estate the kind of business where it's on autopilot.
Yeah.
You always got to have like your foot and your touch out there. And when I was starting up this other business, my foot went away and I was so focused on something else. I woke up one day and had like 1 escrow and 2 listings.
Yeah.
And I had 3 assistants and 4 buyer's agents. I think there were 3 buyer's agents. I don't remember how it was. And I went, what the hell am I doing? Like, this is crazy. So I had to go really, really, really get focused. And I've had a few of those moments in my life where you're just like, okay, it's back to the basics.
Yeah.
And back to the basics, guys, in this business is how many people am I talking to?
Yeah.
How many leads do I have? I'm not working with anyone else who isn't willing to do anything in the next 30, 60 days, and all of the rest of my time will be finding somebody who's who's looking to do something in the next 30, 60 days.
Yeah.
That's the basics of our industry. Everything else around us, peripherals, take us off track and distract us, and that stuff's difficult, those 2 things I talked about all the time, and it's not always fun. So we want the excuses as humans to go find something else.
Yeah.
So surrounded myself by good people, good coaches, good discipline, and those have been the darkest moments.
Do you still use coaches today?
I don't have a coach today. I kind of have different scenarios where I have mentors that I like to look to that are outside the industry.
Coaches,
that
mentors,
are huge.
I
Same thing,
consider
yes.
them
So
very
the
similar.
answer is yes.
Very
the
cool.
answer is yes. And there are all kinds of people. When you and I get together, dude, you're amazing. So I'll sit down and I'll say, hey, what's happening for you? What's working for you? You're younger than me. What do you see?
Yeah.
Like I love that, and I'm always learning from everybody around me. So absolutely, it's just a mindset that you get into.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. So in the age where you have Redfins and Zip Realty and a lot of digital brokerages coming out into the space, how do you see that as a threat to the traditional real estate agent and the traditional brokerage? And this is a question I've been asking you for years.
That's a great question. I am not threatened by them at all.
Okay.
I know this industry and I know this business. I spent some time with the Zillow CEO recently. I think Spencer's got a very clear vision of real estate, and he's got the largest website in the world for real estate.
Yeah.
So I think he's got it better than anybody. And we as agents are not going away. Just choose where you want to be in the industry. We can't have it all.
Yeah.
Zillow can't have it all as big as they are. So we as agents can't have it all. Don't try and get it all. Be the best at what you want to be. The Redfins can't have it all. They're doing an amazing job. I think that their website is incredible. I encourage my clients to look at their website. I'm not threatened by it.
Even with the discount that they charge for listing and the rebates they give back to buyers?
Well, yeah, but see, I've been in the business a long time.
Yeah.
That discount person before the internet was always there.
Got it.
Always. When I
Yeah.
was there doing it, there was always the guy advertising, super low commissions or the
1% flat rate
1%
listing.
flat rates. That always existed. Those guys always come in. I want to be careful how I talk about this. I just think there's a place.
Your discount has always been around, is what you're saying.
Always been around. There's
Yeah.
always the consumer for it, and there's always the representative for it.
Yeah.
I don't believe in that. I think it's a race to the bottom. As I've played with those models, I can't do it because I can only give 100% to my consumers, to my team, to our client, everybody. And in doing that, I've got to charge a price that makes sense for me giving my blood, sweat, and tears. And I have found that the discount services, their model works for them, but it's a very detached model. So it's like, this is what we do. Don't ever call us past this.
Yeah.
And it either works or it doesn't.
You get what you pay for.
You get what you pay for.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying there's a right wrong there. That's right for somebody and good for them.
Yeah.
I do think you're going to see some things change with Redfin in the future. They're a venture capital company. I don't think we should be scared of them. They're helping us learn a lot of things about consumers and real estate. They'll have their place. The real shakeout will take place in the next 5 years.
I think one of the things we can all learn from them is the data and the technology piece, where they've done a better job than our MLS boards here just locally. I mean, you can go to one page and they have all the information you would ever need.
You bet.
And so they've taught us a lot there on the technology and data side and innovation that
Absolutely.
I think real estate's lacking in general.
Absolutely, and they teach us what consumers want.
Yeah.
Because that's what they're about. They're metrics driven. So
Yeah.
they teach about what consumers want. So consumers want certain data. We deal with a ton of consumers, though, that have gone to their websites but don't want to work with their salespeople.
Yeah.
And we deal with a ton of consumers that start that process. I've told my clients, I love Redfin buyers that use Redfin agents. And they go, why? Because they pay more for our listings than anybody.
We've noticed that on our end too when we're
Absolutely.
selling a
Let 'em.
property. Yeah.
Come on in. They think they're saving money and they're spending more than anybody. I'm like, okay, it's all good. The Redfin agents have been nice. Again, their system is a detached model. So there's some consumers that really want to do things on their own.
Yeah.
Typically, the real experienced ones don't.
Okay.
It's the new ones. Maybe it's their second time buying, or they're having fun with this, or they're really into the control. They'll do it, but they need one bad experience. They don't do it again.
Yeah.
Not in real estate. So I think there's some things that you want to discount on. I don't think real estate's one of them.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
I would agree with that. In the beginning of the interview, you mentioned the last 15 years you've been doing over 100 transactions a year, which is truly amazing. And you've also mentioned discipline and focus and hard work. Tell me about some of the other things that come into being that consistent over that long of a period of time. How do you avoid burnout? I mean, how do you continue to stay motivated? What are some of the things that you've been able to do to really keep up that volume?
Is this your first interview? Because those are amazing questions. The basis of it is team. So my first 5 years in the industry, I got burnt out on a regular basis, and I think I was good. And I hated myself, I hated my life, I hated the industry. For a while there, I'd be cranking it and killing it.
Yeah.
And then the moment it shifted, like I wasn't sleeping, I was stressed out, and I'd burn out. And that's when I went to go work for Payne Weber, for example, because I'm like, I hate this industry. So after being in Payne Weber, what I discovered is that we in real estate try and keep too much money.
Yeah.
So they taught us in real estate a long time ago, in the old days, was for every dollar you earn, you tried to keep 95 cents of that. So it was a lot of sweat equity, very little on assistance.
In terms of how you operate your business from an expense ratio.
Exactly.
Okay.
But businesses don't operate that way.
No, not at all.
I went into Payne Weber and all of a sudden they're like, well, we're paying you like 25%, 25 cents on the dollar that you bring into the company for this kind of a trade. And I managed about 80 million in assets with a partner back then. And so you start really understanding the way a Wall Street firm and a business operates. And I was like, aha. So I changed my expectations, came into the business. We see a lot of teams fail when they try that because then it's too much to the other side. So you can't really operate off 10 cents on the dollar either. So you have to find that place where you're creating a life and a team. You have to be a great team leader. So for those people who want to be leaders, can't be leaders without being amazing salespeople first.
Yeah.
And you either become a leader or get on a great team. Both are okay. We're not building Microsoft here where we're going to sell this thing for crazy dollars. Get on something that makes your life great and makes your business great and feel like you're part of that team. But I think I digress. Your question was in reference to
Just the last 15 years, I mean, the consistency.
The consistency was the team being fair to the people, creating systems and infrastructures that support what we have to do every day successfully. And then just as importantly was having the time to try and prognosticate what we think we're going to see in the next 2 years. I mean, right before we got on board today, I was like, man, what's the next 2 years going to look like for you?
Yeah.
What's going to look like for me? I spend probably 3 hours a week talking to people I respect that are gargantuan in this world, saying, what's coming? What do you see? What should I do about this? What should I do about that?
So you're tapping mentors every week.
Every week.
Yeah.
Every week I'm thinking, what's coming? What's coming? What's coming?
So you can try to stay one step ahead.
You have to. Otherwise, we're following it down, right?
Well, so let me ask you this. What is your forecast, or some of the mentors that you're talking to, what do they see coming in the market, 1, 2, 3 years out? And what's the current state of the market right now for you?
God, that just made me think of Rocky 3, right? When Mr. T comes out and goes, pain. That's what I forecast. No, I see, we're in an election year.
Yeah.
So considering Mr. Trump is, in August 7 points behind the poll, whether you want him or not, odds are he's not going to get in, right? So it's going to be Hillary. I think we're going to see more of the same if she gets in there. And I think we're definitely in for a ride. Real estate's taught us that.
Yeah.
If we do the same thing in history, it's typically 5-7 years down and then 4 or 5 years up. We're at our 5-year mark.
Yeah.
5-6 year mark now. So sometime in the next couple of years, we've got to expect some sort of a shift. It's normal. I don't know if we'll ever see the kind of down market we saw in the past.
Yeah.
Not in my lifetime, anyway. So we're beyond that. We're beyond the lending problems there. So I think that buyers and sellers just make good long-term decisions for your life.
Yeah.
Agents, make the right decisions.
Maybe start saving some money.
Yeah, what a concept, right? Maybe always be saving money.
Yeah, absolutely.
And make good solid decisions. The interesting forecast that Spencer and Zillow made, and I believe in it too. I think that in 3 to 5 years, we really will see the shrinking of the middle in the real estate industry for agents. I don't know if the true existence of an amazing single realtor is going to be there anymore. So there might be 1 or 2 left over, specialty markets.
But the real power is going to be in building those teams.
But the real power is going to be in the teams. And so that's what I try and tell realtors, either get on a team.
Yeah.
Look, our team members that have been with us for years, they have an incredible life. They have an incredible life. We provide leads and amazing infrastructure. They believe in our vision of the future. We believe in it together. We deal with things together. And every year that they're with us, their life gets better. We have had team members that have left and then built great careers. Time will still tell what happens. Most of them maybe aren't always set for real estate, but the few of them that have learned a lot from us, they can choose to do whatever they want, grow to whatever. They know what it looks like now at least, right? So there's a lot of positives there. So I'd say either build it or get on one. Get the ego out of the door. Go have a great life. You want to be an amazing person? Go invest. Spend some time investing into the real estate.
Yeah.
Not just selling. We're trying to encourage that.
That's a recurring thing that we've seen on the show, is that the teams are really going to be the future of the brokerage business. And one thing that we've kind of figured out over at Apollo is you hear a lot of leaders, especially in real estate, say that term ABC, always be closing. And I think that if you really are a leader, the term should be ABR, always be recruiting, always be looking for great people to join your team, because if you're only selling, you can't truly be a leader. And if you really want to build that team, then you have to be looking for great people.
All the time.
Always.
And at some point you have had to, you have to be respected enough by the people that are working with you so that you can be able to say, hey, this is where your skills have gotten off.
Yeah.
So, great coaches were typically at one point great producers. Typically at some point in time in their life. And I'm reading a great book right now, called
Predictably Irrational?
No, Revenue.
Predictable Revenue.
Predictable Revenue by Aaron Ross.
Okay.
And he's the guy that helped take Salesforce up to another level. And then I went to go see another person speak in a joint group that we're in, Craig, I forgot the name. He's a consultant, and everyone's leaning towards the same thing. Redfin's already done it.
Yeah.
I do believe it's the future. Our positioning as salespeople is changing. There's no way we can do it all today. People say that technology has helped simplify the world. I say the opposite. In some areas it's helped simplify, and in other areas it's complicated because the demands on us are instantaneous, instant gratification, all the time, all the time, all the time. So it's impossible as a human to do it all well, all the time, for all of that. Part of that in real estate, which is why it's going to be harder and harder for that individual realtor to break into the market. I'll give you an example.
Okay.
25 years ago,
Yeah.
you wanted to be in real estate, you'd come talk to me. I'd say, join my team or go door knock 8 hours a day. And you could do it and you could be successful. I don't think that's the case anymore.
Okay.
I think that today, the industry is really demanding from people that they are true entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
That means you're coming in with money. You better be ready to come into this business to spend 10 to 15 grand a month as an individual realtor from day one.
Okay.
If you don't,
Investing in your marketing.
investing in your marketing, investing in your systems, investing in your skill sets, competing against the likes of me.
One quote that I heard from
yeah.
Gary Vaynerchuk, who's a big social guy, I'm sure you've heard of him, is he said one thing he always does is he markets in the year that he lives in. So it's 2016. You could go door knock, but everybody's on Facebook. Everybody's on the
Right.
internet. Everybody has a smartphone. You should be investing in those technologies
Right.
because that's the future. That's the direction we're heading, and you can scale that.
Yeah, and you can, and you better be willing to also, though, have some sort of revenue that's coming in short term while you're doing this long term. That's why it's complicated.
I've never heard that before. So you're saying that new agents or any agent in general from the gate should be willing to spend 10 to 15K a month on their marketing.
Absolutely, which is why it's not happening for them right now.
Got it.
It's not happening. Why everything's changing really quickly, and we've had a seller's market and a fast market. That pendulum, as it starts ticking,
Yeah.
you're going to see that industry changing. For the agents changing dramatically. The luck kind of goes away. The consumer's demand for who's the biggest names, who am I seeing all the time, where are they, goes up. Their decision of do I just hire my cousin, my friend, my relative, goes down and becomes a little more cautious.
Yeah.
So we've been in that nice little space for a while. That's changing right now. We are going to have systems and teams demanded that we have the different type of telemarketer that's nurturing all the time so that our salespeople are always really showing homes, listing homes, closing homes, making offers happen, the number one things that the consumers need them to do. Everything else has to be done by somebody else.
Got it.
It's too much.
So let me ask you this, with direct mail and door knocking and some of these old antiquated marketing strategies, if I were an agent today wanting to spend $15,000 a month on ad spend, where would you advise me to go and start spending that, where you think I would get the best return?
I'm not saying door knocking's over. I'm
Yeah.
not saying cold calling's over. They're just becoming more difficult, right? We're going into I would choose neighborhoods that are more receptive to that.
Got it.
I think door knocking in maybe $1 million plus neighborhoods starts becoming a little more difficult where they're like, don't. So just pick and choose your areas, and the $15,000 would be spent on an assistant first and foremost.
Got it.
And then some sort of digital ad spend, be it Zillow, pay-per-click, homes.com, realtor.com, one of those platforms where you start trying to get leads immediately.
Okay.
And do not do it if you can only afford it for a month.
Okay.
I think that goes without saying on any one of these marketing pieces,
Yeah.
right? Guys, if you want to start mailing, I see it every day. They mail for a month and then they're done.
It's all about consistency.
Mailers, you got to be looking 1 year out. What is
Yeah.
that going to cost you?
Yeah.
1 year out. If you can, I tell them all the time, if you can't budget 1 year for this, don't do it. Figure out something else. So sometimes I feel like that immediate pay-per-click type result of instant gratification, how many leads, measurement, can I close these guys faster?
Yeah.
Might be more well spent.
Very cool.
Along those lines.
You mentioned predictable revenue. What are some other books that you've read that have had an impact on you in your life?
So Tom Ferry, way back, it was Tom or Mike, I can't remember, and the name of the author is Robert Kruger, I believe, and the name of the book is If It Ain't Broke, Break It.
Okay.
And I remember, and I heard him speak, it was Mike Ferry's seminar way back, one of the most impactful talks I ever heard, and that was pre-internet, pre-computer, pre-everything. The guy was just a consultant talking about how these big companies come in and they're just so stuck in their ways
Yeah.
that the little mistakes were stopping them from making huge gains. And he taught us a technique in that book that would say, take your industry, whiteboard what it looks like today.
Yeah.
And then take another whiteboard and say, if I had to start all over and I could create the ideal world, what would it look like?
Yeah.
And so I was doing that like once a year, and it was just changing. So it gets you into the habit
Of experimenting.
And thinking.
Yeah.
You're thinking, what would be better? If I could have it this way, maybe I can't, but if I could, what would be better?
Yeah.
What would look better?
I know in our business, we have things that work really well, but we're always experimenting and trying new things. Whether or not we get traction on them, we iterate and we change it and we keep moving forward.
And that habit, what happens after a while is you get really good at creating that idea and then going, yeah, I'm just too far advanced. That's not going to work right now.
Yeah.
That'll work over here. But what I got from here is I can tweak this to make my life a little bit better.
Okay.
So I still think that's one of the best books that it has just stuck in my head over the years. You have Think and Grow Rich. I probably read that once a year.
Yeah, that's
just
a great
to keep
one.
my mindset. Power of One.
Okay.
Those are all great books. I'd probably pull out my iPhone and look on audio.
Yeah, I'd love to get that. We can add those in the show notes on the
Sure.
blog post.
Happy.
Here's a great question. So when I think of the Alan Shafran Group, I think of high-end North County properties, and I want to ask you about positioning and branding and how that's played a role in your success over the last 25 years.
Positioning and branding, I think we discussed it earlier where you've got to pick your niche, where you want to be, and who your consumer is. So the world's changing with us now, right? So when I started, you had still more of the Mercedes, the Porsche, the BMW, very high end. I was always attracted to that. Maybe a little too materialistic at times in my life, but so be it. Some of us have that. So, but I like that image. I like that client. I like that mentality. We fit, we match. When I hire people, I want the best service. I've tried other things and I always pay for it 3 times. Anytime I do other than the best, I pay for it in other ways. So I believe in it. And so that's what I try to do, the branding. And I align myself with such companies. I was with Prudential. They switched to Berkshire. They're great companies. They're high end. And so when I opened the Alan Shafran Group, and even when I was branding within those companies, that's really what I was trying to attract. If you're trying to attract a different consumer, make sure that they can relate to you and they can understand your message. We have 2 seconds to deliver a message. So I see it every day. I look at marketing every day and I'm like, oh, that's awful. Oh, that's awful. That's awful. That's awful. I can't even figure out what they're trying to tell me. I got drones flying in my face and top service and this and that, and I can't even understand it. And you're marketing to everybody. So I think those are big mistakes. Pick your place, be there, be the best at it.
Own your niche.
And own it. Like, you'll do better than, we're not Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola gets to go after the world. We don't have multi-billion-dollar budgets.
Marketing was a lot cheaper back then too.
Yes, and a lot less competition.
Exactly. I hear a lot of agents, they want to go for the higher end listings. They see a $2 million property and they say, oh, I would love to get that listing. What are some of the downsides of higher end properties and being a broker in that market that maybe some of the other agents don't know?
Well, I would challenge most of the agents. We see the TV shows today. And
it's not like $1 Million Listing.
Man, I mean, I love it. Don't get me wrong. If I could sell, 50, $8 million properties, every year, I think life could be a little more simple. But the truth is that there's a lot less consumers on the buy side for something like that.
So it takes a little bit longer to sell.
It's a lot more expensive. It can be. Those consumers.
They expect you to be marketing in Dream Home and doing all those things that maybe don't even bring them buyers, but they feel good and they want to see that you're spending money on their listing.
They want to see it. The good agents are being very transparent and honest with them. And there are good agents out there that are saying, hey, look, I'm not just going to spend this money just because you want me to spend this money.
So you could go into a listing and you maybe spend a couple $1,000 on marketing and maybe you don't even get the listing because it's overpriced or you lose it.
Exactly. Or you can spend $20,000. It's still overpriced. I think we have to spend money on the high-end listings. It's just a different way today. It may not be in the publications, but you will have to show them how you're spending the money and what value. If I'm a high-end consumer, I really want to know that who I'm hiring is eloquent, is sophisticated, fiscally,
Yeah.
can speak and understand the highest levels of the different monetary options that are going to be coming at us.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're looking for, and not every agent, fits those criteria.
Yeah.
So now, with that said, I'm very careful with that market too.
Yeah.
The challenge that I ask everybody is really, where's all the money being made? So that person may have sold a $20 million home and it took them 3 years to sell it. Have fun. Good luck. I'm not willing to take that ride unless we're all on the same page.
Yeah.
So I've sold some of the highest priced homes, and I continue to do that in North County, but it's part of a portfolio that goes, up and down within that price range. There are very few agents that have been truly able to make it in the high end, and that's their specialties. And those agents, like everyone, are unique, and they've worked years and years to get there.
It's not overnight success.
No way. That one you just have to be very careful with.
What's motivating you right now? What's getting you up in the morning?
Probably guns. No.
Hope not.
No. I'm joking. No, what's motivating me in the mornings? My children, my family, my spouse, the people that care about me in my life, my team. I am super vested into their success.
Yeah.
And
as all good leaders should be.
Yeah, like I love it. When something doesn't go well in their life, like it weighs on me. It's heavy. I'm trying to think of what can I do to help? What can I do to fix this? When one of them says, hey, I want to go after this home personally, like we've got the whole team on charge.
Yeah.
How do I make this better in my life? And we all have personal things. So I think that when I see one of them succeed, any one of them, if it's my daughters, my family, like I'm getting a charge out of that.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it is having health and happiness. Went to Bora Bora recently.
I saw the photos. Looked amazing.
Dude, that's a charge. Like, so the charges are different before, right? When I was younger, the charge was, how do I get my Rolex? How do I get this car? How do I get this house? So the charges have changed now, and I'm truly enjoying seeing the success come from everybody, and then me enjoying different types of successes from my own personal life, and more from trying to achieve just a couple of bucket things a year is how I get charged.
Yeah.
But you're a dad, and different things start weighing on your life in different ways. So I got 2 daughters. Everybody wish me some luck.
If you could go back in time, 25 years to the first day you got into the business, knowing everything you know today, and you had 60 seconds with yourself, what would you say?
I would say spend less, save more, learn to create a business as fast as possible with a budget in your life that can work off of a minute centage so that you can be consistent and create a true balance in your life. And that just wasn't taught to us back then. The concept of running business back then was different. So I'd really say run real estate as much as you can like a business from day one.
Okay.
And you'll be successful if we relate it to the business side. Personally, I don't have enough time to tell myself how to fix everything.
We'll get you back on the show and save that for the next one. Let's actually, Todd's a great question. Let's talk about running it like a business. I hear a lot of agents talking about, hey, you have to run it like a business, but you call them, they don't answer their phone, they're running around like crazy, and they don't have time for anything. And I truly think that if you run a business, you have time to kind of think and be peaceful with yourself and figure out, what are some of the things you need to be doing on a day-to-day basis. So I want to talk to you about running it like a business. I mean, what are some of the things that you made a mistake on in your business that you would change right now?
Again, another great question, and I referred to it earlier, that today opening up your real estate business is completely different than before, where it's requiring all of that capital.
Yeah.
And, 20 years ago, it was all sweat equity.
Yeah.
And some minor capital. They used to do mailers and whatnot.
Yeah, so that concept of having to spend money to generate leads from day one is a little bit foreign to a lot of people.
Right, and they have to. It's a business. So the way I would do it today, if I had to start over, or even when you're saying running it like a business, I would look at an agent. In fact, I did recently, and I would say, if you had to open up a restaurant today, how much money do you need?
Yeah.
And they had to sit there and think about it. And I'd say, why is real estate attractive to you as far as opening up a business? And the reason real estate is attractive to a lot of agents, and I know this is hard to hear and it's not easy to say because we're in the industry, is because everything else failed.
Yeah.
So why not get a license? Because there's no barrier to entry. You're spending $200, $300 getting your license, and let's go. It's got to be a better decision than that, guys, because what's happening is that you're detracting your life from going into a forward direction if you're not making a good decision.
Got it.
Many of us,
so they're not seeing those hidden costs.
They're not seeing that, right? So if you and I had to say today, hey, let's open up a business and let's go. Let's open up a restaurant. I want to open up a huge chain. Let's do let's compete with Cheesecake Factory. That's some serious decisions, right? Like you need millions of dollars and this and that. So I'm not saying you need millions of dollars for real estate, but make the decisions as if you need that kind of money and then decide if it's what you want to do.
Yeah.
Because most of them, when I ask the question of why are you in this business, what's my number one answer?
Make money.
No, I love houses.
Okay.
Really? You're going to love that $200,000 house in the barrio over there that you get to go see that has a piece of poop sitting in the middle of the carpet that the seller won't clean up every day, right? You're going to love that.
Yeah.
No, I mean, because they see the shows and they think we're walking around in Rancho Santa Fe, 15,000 square foot houses all day long, driving our Maseratis here and there. It's not that.
Well, the show makes it look very easy, and it's not.
Yeah. It's certainly not. I mean, those guys, we just had one burn out, so it's interesting. But so I would say that it's truly they've got to make the decisions about how do I make the money? What's it going to cost for my life personally? What does it really take? It's not luck. The average agent selling 2 to 4 homes a year, it's not enough.
Yeah.
It's not enough. And you're dealing with those swings. Most of them, by the time they're into it a year and a half, 2 years, are like, you know what? I'm going to be happier as an assistant.
Yeah.
Your life would have been better making that decision day one.
Oh, so what do you think are some of the big mistakes that agents are making today in this market?
Overpricing homes.
Okay.
Ridiculously.
Okay.
So
is that over-promising and under-delivering to sellers, or just not being realistic?
Yes and yes. Over-promising, over-delivering, want to see the name on a sign. Now you just created, and they have to be very careful because they can create a client who's now an enemy. And in today's world of transparency and the internet, that client can actually really send a bad name down a few different pipelines.
Honesty is always the best policy when you're talking to a seller.
Transparent. I mean, I just had a conversation yesterday with a client, and they're not easy conversations. They're like, what are you going to do for the agents in Los Angeles? I'm like, you're watching too many TV shows.
Alan, aren't you taking a jet to China?
Right,
like,
exactly.
What are you talking about?
Right. Where did you get this idea?
Yeah.
Who's in your ear?
Yeah.
They want to hear the truth.
Yeah.
Consumers know the truth. They're testing us 90% of the time.
Yeah.
And they want to see if you're going to be honest with them so they can trust you, or if you're going to tell them what they think, what you think they want to hear. They know what the truth is.
Yeah.
And guys, if you're really going to have the kind of client that wants you to be driving to LA to talk to a bunch of agents who don't have clients for San Diego, you're dealing with the wrong client anyway.
Yeah.
So that client's going to make you miserable. So those are the mistakes. And then the other one is big change in this industry forthcoming. And I've been speaking on this for about 12 years, is buyer brokerage. Okay. So buyer brokerage, I was creating those contracts with an attorney before Carr came out with it. Okay. Now Carr did it, I think, 8 years ago. And I was speaking on it before that, is the concept of buyers signing exclusive agreements to work with you as an agent. Mm-hmm. And I think that's agents amongst their top 2 biggest mistakes, is working with buyers that will never buy from them. Got it. They may buy, but they won't buy from them.
So how do you, as an agent, how do you decipher if you're working with somebody who you know, or maybe you don't know, is not going to buy from you?
Yeah, it's very simple. It goes like this. Neil, thanks for calling on that property. I appreciate it. Are you going to use me? I'm going to show you that property, and I'm going to take my time, effort, and energy to go do that. Yeah. Are you going to use me to represent you if you decide to buy that property? Say yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. So what I'm going to do is bring out some paperwork with us today. Yeah. And you just sign it right before we go in. It's just a few sheets. Yeah. And it's just going to say that if you decide to buy that property, you're going to use me to write an offer and represent you. Yeah. I'm being paid already by the listing broker on the other end, so it's not going to cost you anything as long as it goes through and whatnot. So are you okay with that? Say no.
No.
Why not?
I don't know. I don't feel comfortable. I don't know what I'm signing.
Oh, okay. So all it's saying is that you're hiring me for the job of representing you.
Okay.
Now I want you to say, oh, but my brother's an agent in LA and da 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 da, and that's the kind of stuff we hear. And then it's, oh, your brother's an agent in LA.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So probably the best thing to do is call your brother and have him come out and show you the property. Because we just don't work. It's not that we don't work for free. It's just I have to pick and choose. I've got a ton of clients.
And you have to respect your time.
Absolutely. And we say it nicely, Mr. Buyer. Absolutely. I appreciate where you're coming from, but when I show properties, I expect to represent the client. We have ethical boundaries. I like the agency system that we work with today. So we like everything to be transparent and forward and upfront. Now that is only if I couldn't get the buyer to come in for a true meeting, because we think our buyers who sign our agreements that say they're hiring us exclusively for a period of time, they're going to get the top-notch service from us. They're going to get first access to everything. The amount of pocket listings and coming soon listings I have is just about more than anybody in my area of the marketplace.
I don't know about more than us.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
Nothing. I call you guys. I know. The connections that we have, what we do, our ability to negotiate is we can't offer that priority to everybody. So you get that with us, and all it costs is your decision to work with us. And we've been doing that for 10 years, and people love it. And most of them have been out trying it with multiple agents for a long time, and they realize this is getting too much.
Yeah, no, I really like that. Looking forward, what are some of the things you're doing to kind of keep yourself on the cutting edge and always be learning and growing? I know you and I are both in the Entrepreneurs Organization together, and that's a great organization for business owners. What are some of the other things you're doing to stay out front and continue the growth?
I'll talk to someone like Tom Ferry on a regular basis.
Okay.
And as I said, I really look to the outside of the industry because I like to see what the better industries or bigger industries are doing with consumers and their technologies and what they're implementing. Sometimes the financial markets, because they can kind of see much faster what's happening because of their billions of dollars that they have to use than we can. And just talking to the mentors on a regular basis. And then I try and take that stuff, and it's really hard, and align it and get it down to the simple. I had a meeting before I came here today with Sarah, our VP, and the person who's helping to run the company and the infrastructure. And I was saying, okay, from these complications, how do we simplify it? How do we make it efficient? And that's what we're trying to look into the future all the time. We're constantly challenged. We're like everybody. Yeah. So we're just maybe on a bigger scale, but we're like everybody.
Awesome.
From that perspective.
Well, Alan, this has been a killer interview. I want to end it off with just a parting piece of wisdom for all the agents that are watching the show. If you had to leave them with one piece of advice, what would it be?
One piece of advice. One, don't quit. I think that our industry is amazing, and some of the realtors I work with on a daily basis, like I'm blessed and lucky to be working with, the outside realtors too. We're doing this together. Yeah. And look into the future. Don't make the decision about what's happening today. Kind of look 3 years and see if I'm building my career, where do I want to end up? Because it's consistency. Like really pay attention to the industry and there are agents that jump from here to here to here to here to here. Look at the production. Yeah. It's not great. Find that line, stay consistent, build your life, build your business within that environment, whether you're doing it yourself or part of a team. Okay. I would say that the industry is really moving towards that. You can fight it, but it's going there.
Got it.
So,
cool.
Best I can do.
Alan, thanks so much, man.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks,
appreciate
Neil.
it.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
All right.